out the door of the parsonage. His mother wasn't dead. She couldn't be dead. She had promised to come back for him just as soon as she made some money. Lies! Dirty lies! The wind whipped away his words as he raced through the vacant lot and around the corner. The neighbors had told lies before about his mother, lies his grandmother had believed. They were all liars in Cold Spring, just as his mother had said. There it was in front of him now, huge and solid against the gray sky. Christopher stopped at the gate, panting heavily. Appleton Mansion, the home that should have been his. Their lies had cost him his family, his inheritance, and he'd get even with all of them somehow. They were shouting his name now, calling for him to come back. Christopher slipped between the posts of the wrought iron fence and ran into the overgrown yard. They wanted to tell him more lies, to confuse him the way they had confused Grandmother Appleton, but he wouldn't listen. He'd hide until it was dark, and then he'd run away to California, where his mother was waiting for him. The small boy gave a sob of relief when he saw an open doorway. It was perfect. He'd hide in his grandmother's root cellar, and they'd never find him. Then, when it was dark, he'd run away. Without a backward glance, Christopher hurtled through the opening, seeking the safety of the darkness below. He gave a shrill cry as his foot missed the steeply slanted step. And then he was falling, arms flailing helplessly at the air, as he pitched forward into the deep, damp blackness. Wade Comstock stood still, letting the leaves skitter and pile in colored mounds around his feet, smiling as he looked up at the shuttered house. His wife, Verna, had been right. The Appleton Mansion had gone dirt cheap. He still couldn't understand how modern people at the turn of the century could take stock in silly ghost stories. He certainly didn't believe for 1 minute that Amelia Appleton was back from the dead, haunting the Appleton house. But then again, he had been the only one ever to venture a bid on the old place. Amelia's daughter, Dorothea, had left town right after her mother's will was read, cut off without a dime. And it served her right. Now the estate was his, the first acquisition of the Comstock Realty Company. His thin lips tightened into a straight line as he thought of Dorothea. The good people of Cold Spring hadn't been fooled one bit by her tears at her mother's funeral. She was after the property, pure and simple. Bringing her bastard son here was bad enough, but you'd think a woman in her condition would have sense enough to stay away. And then she had run off, leaving the boy behind. He could make a bet that Dorothea was never planning to send for Christopher. Women like her didn't want kids in the way. Wade kicked out at the piles of leaves and walked around his new property. As he turned the corner of the house, the open root cellar caught his eye, and he reached in his pocket for the padlock and key he'd found hanging in the tool shed. That old cellar should be locked up before somebody got hurt down there. He'd tell the gardener to leave the bushes in that area, and it would be overgrown in no time at all. For a moment, Wade stood and stared at the opening. He supposed he should go down there, but it was already too dark to be able to see his way around. Something about the place made him uneasy. There was no real reason to be afraid, but his heart beat faster, and an icy sweat broke out on his forehead as he thought about climbing down into that small, dark hole. The day was turning to night as he hurriedly hefted the weather-beaten door and